Welcome to another episode of the Unprofessional Parenting Podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Lainey.
And this is the podcast where we talk about all things foster care and adoption, whether you are just starting your foster care and adoption journey or you are a seasoned pro. We hope that this is a conversation, a podcast you can come to love, and it can be a resource and a supply for you in your journey. Today's episode, we are talking about
when parenting triggers your own trauma.
Ooh.
Yeah. So have you ever overreacted to something that your child has done and you wait a minute and go, I'm not really reacting to what my child just did. I think there's something deeper going on with me.
Personally, never, but I can't wait to hear your stories on this.
That's what we're going to talk about in today's episode.
Let's get to it. Welcome to Unprofessional Parenting. We're your hosts, Matt and Lainey.
I'm Lainey, a licensed clinical social worker with over a decade of experience working in child welfare.
And I'm Matt, with more than 10 years working in church ministry. And together, we're foster and adoptive parents who know firsthand that parenting is anything but perfect.
We're here to laugh, learn, and share the real side of raising foster and adoptive kids. Parenting isn't about being perfect, it's about showing up even when you feel completely unprofessional at it.
So let's get into today's conversation. Well, we are back here. Lainey, it's just the two of us today.
It is.
The past two episodes, we've actually had guests on. Mm-hmm. They were really awesome episodes.
They've been so educational. I love having guests on here.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Like, I love hearing from other people because even though it's stuff that I think I know about, I always learn more.
Yeah, we always learn as we're interviewing. It's the greatest thing. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't seen those episodes, go back and check them out. We had a guest, Billy Babino, on where we talked about the truth behind foster care, like being a foster parent. And he gave us like such great information about the lead up to how he recruits foster parents, what he looks for in them, and just answers a ton of questions that foster parents or prospective foster parents might have about the journey. And then last week, we had Shaylee on.
Yeah.
And Shaylee killed it.
Yeah, I learned so much from her last week. Yeah.
She talked about all things behind the behavior is what the episode was called. And it was just it's a great conversation to hear from an expert. She's a director of therapeutic services at Adora Hope. And so she came in and kind of gave us a glimpse on why behaviors happen, why certain behaviors happen. So if you haven't checked out those episodes, go check them out. But on this episode, we are talking about what you introed in our introduction. Can you talk a little bit more about what that is?
Yeah, so I think it's really important. We talk about foster or adopted children's behaviors a lot.
Yes.
And we talk about the trauma that they experienced and continue to experience while they're in your home. And just all the things that come with how their brains develop because of trauma and all these things. But what we haven't really touched on, and I think what really informs our parenting on a subconscious level is the way that our brains were formed when we were children.
Right. Like what's going on deep down.
Yeah. And some people might be sitting here going, well, I really didn't have a traumatic childhood. And maybe you didn't, but we don't live in a perfect world, which means that there are ways that your brain was developed that aren't the most healthy way.
Right.
Right. And maybe in adulthood, we've been able to kind of like manage that better, right? We can avoid certain triggers or whatever. It's not as a parent, but when you get a child in your home that almost specializes in finding the things that upset you.
It's impressive, honestly.
It really starts to come out like ways that you maybe don't have the best relational or attachment styles in certain moments.
So what you're basically saying is the way that you were raised in your home, whether it was very pleasant or a horrible experience, informs and can inform the way that you parent and react to your own children in your home.
Yeah, 100% it does.
Right. And so we're talking about that today.
Yeah.
About when a situation arises or when something comes about, an argument, a fight, or a reaction from your foster adoptive child that triggers something within you. And you might catch it in the moment, but you might not catch it.
But you also might not.
Yeah. And it might not even be something that you recognize that you're doing.
Because some of these things that like really hit us deep down inside, they might not necessarily be very overt behaviors that come out of us.
Sure.
Sometimes, and I think maybe even more often, it's things that start happening inside of our hearts and minds that kind of go on a subconscious level, like fears that we have and ways that we start to react when someone has a negative behavior in front of us. And so that's why I want to talk about this today, so that we can start recognizing as parents, how does my child's behaviors and the things they're struggling with affect me and the things that I struggle with as an adult?
Yeah.
And how can I heal me and deal with me so that I don't continue to exacerbate what my child is struggling with?
Right. Okay. So let's set the scene here.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's give a practical example.
Yeah.
We're going to do so from our own home, and then we're going to talk about the ways that you've recognized that in yourself, and then I'll talk about the ways, maybe in a different scenario, of the ways that I've recognized that in myself.
Yeah.
Maybe not even recognized, but had it pointed out to me by somebody who's very wise. Right there. Okay, so here's the scenario, right? Our son, we've talked about him 1,000 times on this show.
Yeah.
Love him so much.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
He's the best.
He's great. However, we have certain moments. He's got a little temper on him.
He does. He's a very demonstrative person.
Yes, that's a great way of explaining him, because that seems kind of kind at the same time. He can be demonstrative in good ways.
In positive ways, for
exactly.
sure. Yeah.
But the negative ways, man, those are on highlight. Not a lot, but it happens from time to time, right?
Right.
So we will give him something to follow, or he will be heated in a moment, and we step in and start handling the situation. And then an order is given, or like, I need you to follow this direction.
Right.
And he, for whatever reason, does not like that order.
he doesn't like any directions
Correct.
he's given.
And so he leaves the room, and on his way to his bedroom, he slams the hallway door.
Yep.
And then he walks into his bedroom and slams his bedroom door.
Yeah.
Now, we've kind of evolved in our parenting and realizing that this is the order of operations for our child. But sometimes he understands that and realizes it.
Yeah, he's so smart. He realizes when we've caught on to him and are trying a new parenting technique.
Exactly. So we don't even react sometimes in those moments, but he'll walk back over to his bedroom door, whip that thing right back open, and slam it harder, and then slam it harder again.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about the door frame breaking.
It's already cracked.
The door falling off its hinges. And I'm just like going back and playing in my mind how many times we've told him, do not slam the doors. This is like, we've even taken his bedroom door at one point in our lives.
It didn't work.
Right. And but the second slam, the third slam, the fourth slam, and man, you and I get to a point where we're like, that's enough.
Yeah, like it just like hits a nerve inside of you.
And we just swing the pendulum all the way over to the other side, and we react in a way that's sometimes unbecoming of parents.
Yeah, it ain't pretty.
It's definitely unprofessional parenting for sure at that point. But tell me about what goes on in your mind, in your heart, in those moments, because you get a little heated. You get a little heated.
Just me?
No, we both do.
Sir, you can speak for yourself.
You're very demonstrative. If we can bring it back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think for him in particular, now, just to say, this is one story, but I think all three of our kids have really special ways of hitting a certain nerve.
Yeah, and it's not always door slamming. It's not always these loud demonstrative acts of defiance.
For this one in particular, I mean, if we're going to be really specific on this example, I really like order and structure and following the rules and all this stuff. And so when I am in authority and I am providing a direction, it really hits a nerve when that is just so deliberately disobeyed. And it feels like absolute disrespect to me. And I hate being disrespected, you know? So I see this behavior as like, oh, he's intentionally trying to disrespect me, right? That's like my first automatic thought that happens because of the way I was raised and whatever happened in my childhood and stuff, you know? And so in those moments, I have gotten myself to a place where it's like the first, maybe even second door slam doesn't bother me, right? Like I just come to expect that's what's going to happen. He's pissed off right now. That's how he's going to get his anger out. And it's not worth the power struggle. Like there have just come to a place where it's like, this is not worth the fight for me. If he slams the door and moves on with his life, I can't care at this point. But it's him coming back out, looking to see if we're paying attention and slamming it again. As if it's like this desire of like, he wants us to be mad.
It's the intent behind it. It's like, it's not even just a reactionary thing at that point on his part. It's a provoking thing.
Right. Yeah. I think that might be it too. It's like, this is not a reaction of his anger. This is like a deliberate choice for him to bring us to his level as well. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, let's tango then.
Let's go. I'm going to your level.
Fine. Buddy. You want it? You got it, buddy. So but here's how we need to reframe it, right? Because we can't live in a place where we start fighting with our kids, blowing up on our kids, escalating at the same time that they're escalating, and believing that they want to disrespect us all the time and whatever. Here's what I've come to know about the root of that behavior for him. And it has taken us going back, and something that can be helpful that I learned in some behavior trainings that I took in college. The ABCs of training. Always go back and look at the ABCs of training. What was the antecedent and what was the behavior? And then there is a consequence after that, right? And I don't mean consequences in like you get your video games taken away. But like we start with the behavior because that's what we can see. He's slamming the door. So when we went back and looked at the antecedent to these things, most of the time it was in a few hours where he felt disconnected from us. It was times when, like, for example, not every time, but a good example, Matt and I always drink coffee in the mornings together, you know, when we have like a weekend, right? Work days are different, but when it's a weekend, we're together drinking coffee in our reading room, and it's kind of like a no kids zone. But as soon as he wakes up, where is the first place he goes?
To the no kids zone.
To the no kids. He comes straight to us, to the reading room.
He wants that instant connection.
He wants the connection. Now, a lot of times when we're not paying attention or we're not being intentional, like we're just like, bud, go find something to do, please. This is a no kids zone. Like, and so we're dismissing him, right? Like that's telling his nervous system, no, like get away from me. I don't want connection with you. And he starts to spiral. Now it doesn't look like a spiral, but inside, like in his nervous system, he starts getting signals. I'm not getting connection. I'm not getting connection. And then the next thing we tell him is a direction of something he doesn't want to do.
Eat breakfast. Or
like it's just going to send him into a spiral of seeking connection. So what's the best way to get our attention and get us to connect with him? Slamming the door and pissing us off.
Well, because even negative connection is still connection.
Negative attention is still attention. And that is what so many of our kids and kids who have come from hard places, they don't care if it's negative or positive. They just want connection. And so that's what we were learning is like, no, this wasn't him trying to disrespect us. This wasn't him telling us like, I hate you so much and I'm going to do anything possible to like to piss you off. Like this was truly him. Like, this is my last ditch effort of connecting with them because I know they will come yell at me. If I slam the door.
It's a cry for connection. That's exactly what it is. So those moments happen. We've kind of defined what's going on in his mind and in his heart at those moments. But then the reaction from us, like we talked a little bit about how it's the provoking, it's the disrespect, it's that really gets you going. Can we kind of peel a couple layers back on Lainey for a little bit and just talk about?
Sure, Matt. Let's talk about me.
Well, we'll go into me, and I'll have to get vulnerable too in a second. But I want to know why. Really, when I get upset about that, it's a little bit different than when you get upset about those things, right? I get upset at very different things, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But your reaction's much different than mine. Most of the time, I'm running in after you to make sure you don't throw him through a wall, right?
I mean,
just kidding. She would never throw him through a wall.
I don't ever throw kids into walls.
Exactly. But for you, why do you think, if you could introspectively look at your life now as an adult, why do you think that those things trigger you so much?
Yeah.
Without throwing anybody under the bus.
Yeah. No. I mean, I had a wonderful childhood.
Right.
Like I would be the adult that said, I never had any childhood trauma. But the fact is our neural pathways are constantly being formed. And sometimes it's not always the healthiest or best. And that doesn't mean someone was abusing you or neglecting you. It's just, we live in an imperfect world, and our parents weren't perfect either.
Yeah.
And they did the best that they could, but they weren't perfect, which we talk about all the time. Like there is no such thing as a perfect parent. Yeah. But I have, just on a personal level, I have this really deep fear of being rejected. And I've worked on this so much in therapy, which is where I like came to the ability to be able to verbalize this. But I have a really intense fear of being rejected in relationships. Okay. It's why I put on this really like confident, in your face type of facade, I guess, because it's like, you ain't going to reject me before I reject you type of thing.
I'll beat you to the punch.
I will do it first. But I think that shows up a lot, maybe not necessarily in like door slamming moments, but it has shown up a lot in my relationship with one of our daughters, because she has the same exact fear. And so her and I, for a long time, and I think we've gotten better, but there were years when her and I were on this hamster wheel of just constantly triggering each other in this fear of rejection. And we would get close and we would have good days, and it's like something would go wrong, tension would happen, because that's life, right? Like you aren't going to please each other all the time. So she'd get mad at me for something I did, or I would get upset at her for something she did, or just being a regular parent and giving her feedback and criticism on certain things and discipline in other areas, right?
Yeah.
And so those moments of negativity or tension or conflict would immediately send both of us into withdrawing from each other, first lashing out at each other.
Yeah.
And then withdrawing from each other. And we would go days without speaking to each other. Yeah. And it was like, I don't think either of us were intentionally trying to punish the other, but in me, her lashing out at me and then withdrawing from me continued to trigger inside of me this fear I have of like, she's rejecting me. Yeah. She doesn't want me. Yeah. Which halfway is true. Like there is truth to it. Not all of this stuff is like made up or a part of our imagination. Like she didn't want me to be her mom. I'm not her first mom. Yeah. So there's just a lot that goes into me feeling rejected, and I have, as we all do, a neural pathway of what happens when Lainey starts feeling rejected. Yeah. Well, that means I'm not safe. That means she doesn't want me. It means that my relationship is in danger. And so my nervous system starts to react in that way and try to protect itself with its default defense mechanisms. Yeah.
Man, there's a lot going on there.
There sure is. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I think the only reason I can verbalize this well, if I'm verbalizing it well, is because this is what I worked on with a therapist for like 3 years, I think.
Yeah. And I think it's one thing to verbalize it now in a conversation outside of the actual instance where it's happening versus the getting hit directly in the face with those feelings and that thought process in the moment where it's happening. Yeah. It's like it is magnified to a billion. You can talk about it and feel it right now, but like when you're in the moment, it's like it's there. And like what you said earlier, it's just a reaction. It's a reaction instead of a thought process of like, well, what's really taking place here?
Right. Yeah. No, there was no, anytime we were on this hamster wheel, as I describe it, when whatever she was doing was triggering inside of me these issues, it wasn't like a thought process that I had of like, oh, look, my fear of being rejected is coming up right now.
Here it is.
No.
It's rearing its head.
No.
Yeah.
Like I felt the feelings. I had the anger. I had the frustration. I spent a lot of nights crying in the shower, like wondering, is this ever going to get better?
Yeah.
Like, are we ever going to be okay? Or am I just going to live in this perpetual? I mean, there was literally a moment where I thought like, we are going to grow up and I'm going to have a child that hates me.
Yeah.
That does not want to speak to me as an adult.
Yeah.
Like that was a real fear for a long time with me in our household. And I am here to say it has gotten a lot better.
It's gotten a lot better. It's and you know, we have the conversations after the fact, and I see it from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah. What did it look like from an outsider's perspective?
Well, I feel like I recognized what was happening in the moment pretty quick. Though I'm not a counselor or a therapist, I could.
Which you don't have to be.
Right, you don't, but you see it and you see the cycle. And my thing to you was always, our daughter's never going to be able to, especially at the age that she's at, walking out of the experience that she's had in her early life. She's never going to be able to reconcile that and she's not going to be able to fix that for a very long time without a lot of help.
Right.
And without somebody showing her how to do it. And so my message to you was always, you're the adult. You know what's going on and you can pinpoint it and point it out and say, this is exactly what's going on in my heart. So you have to be the one who steps up and makes that right and shares that with her. And walks through, here's what I was feeling. Here's what you said, what happened in my mind when you said these things. Here's where I feel like we're at, and I want to fix this. And I recognize that in my own life. Yep. We talk about repair all the time and how it's so important in the words after the blow up. But like my message to you is always, if you can be the one who can name it and claim it and know it's real and truth for yourself, she has no idea that this is truth for herself. She has no idea that this is what she's walking through. Yeah. It's just normal life for her.
Right.
So you got to be the one to step in and say those things.
Right. But
much easier said than done.
In those moments, I had an absolute absence of desire to fix anything with her. And that is just, I say this because there's so much shame, I think, that comes with being a foster or adoptive parent because it is such a difficult process. Like healing from trauma is so messy for yourself and for the kids that you're raising. Yeah. And so there's a lot of shame that comes up of like, I'm not, like I would even cry so much because I was like, I'm not a good mom for her. Like she could have such better moms. And I know that that's a lie, like an absolute lie from the enemy. But in those moments, I'm like, man, I'm messing her up so much because I have my own issues that I am struggling to work through. Sure. And I'm just continuing to mess her up even more. And so I think there's a clinical term called blocked care. And it's when you literally lose compassion for the children in your life. Like I just would wake up and I would be like, I literally don't care what you do today. Like I don't care about this relationship anymore. Right. Like I was just so fatigued by it.
I'm not saying, and that's not saying that you didn't provide for their needs and safety and security and things of that nature. No. We weren't neglecting our children. No. It was just this emotional block.
Right.
That was there.
Yes. An emotional blocked care. And so of course against my desire, I picked up a book and started reading like how to get through this process. But I just say that, and I feel like foster and adoptive parents are really scared to talk about these things because there is no one more critical of a foster parent than someone who's not a foster parent.
Sure. Yeah.
And I have to say, like, if you have never walked in the shoes of a foster or adoptive parent, like sit down and stop judging, because it is so important for us to be able to verbalize these things and be honest about like, hey, I'm really struggling with this. Or yeah, there were days that my child pushed my scars so deeply that like I didn't really like her anymore. Like that is okay. And I think it's important to recognize that and do something about it. But like those feelings are very valid, and it doesn't mean that you are suddenly abusive to this child.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that you like neglect this child.
Right.
I fed that girl every day. I still encouraged her to get good grades and do the right thing. Like I still did all the things that a mom is supposed to do. But when I went to bed at night, I felt disconnected and frustrated and upset in our relationship.
Yeah.
And like, that's okay. Both those things can exist in the world.
But there has been a lot of healing that's happened in this relationship since those moments.
So much.
Like, so much.
So much.
And just a little sneak preview for maybe what's coming up in the future. Have you thought about pinning some words down about this experience?
That's really leading me into this, which
it's exactly what I'm doing.
I am currently writing a book about my experience with her.
Yeah.
And it's just a very practical book about like how the truth about your difficult child.
Yeah.
Because I would look at her and I'd be like, oh, you're so difficult. But that's not quite the truth.
Let me ask you a question. Do you draw a comparison? You said you guys are pretty much the same when it comes to that kind of stuff.
I do. I think her and I are extremely similar.
So do you think that you were difficult at all as a child? Should we ask your mom?
My mom will die laughing in this moment as she listens. Yes, I was an extremely difficult child. And I was raised in a very healthy household.
Well, here we are.
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
You heard it here first here.
We're like, it's like a badge of honor at this point.
I love it.
One day our daughter's going to grow up and she's going to be like, yeah, remember how difficult I was?
Yes. And you guys are going to have a great relationship because you and your mom have a great relationship now. And it's great. Set me up on one.
Okay.
Something that you've realized in my reaction that could be.
So Matt also has... Matt has triggers also. And I feel like...
I need you to tell me because I don't even see them.
I know. I feel like you don't really want to recognize them. But you have almost the opposite type of relational triggers that I do.
Okay. Hit me with it. Give me a scenario or a situation where I can understand it.
Okay.
Yep.
Here's a scenario. Actually, it's not like a super specific scenario. It's more of like a generalized way. We have a child in our home in this season of life. So maybe in a year or two, we'll come back and record an episode about how life has improved and gotten better. But right now in this season of life, we have a child who treats you like you are a roommate, not a dad. Not a parent.
Okay. I don't know who you're talking about.
There's a real lack of relational depth. And I think you feel a lot of emotional barriers there, a lot of like just intimate barriers relationally.
Yeah.
And I think it really hits a nerve with you a lot more than it hits a nerve with me. And we actually we just talked about it this morning, not in relation to this episode, but it was, I was looking at you and I could tell you were so emotionally burdened by just how she lives her life in relation to our family.
Yeah.
So tell us about it. What does her describe a little bit about her behavior, I guess, just like how she relates to our family and then how it hits you really emotionally.
Yeah. So I don't even know where to start. I'll just talk about her behavior for a second. I love this girl.
Of course.
So much.
Yeah.
Love her so dearly. I see, and maybe it's the similarity thing about you and our other daughter of you guys are just so similar in the way that you react to things, and that causes a lot of tension. But I do see similarities in her life to my life, and without going into great detail, just about the floating aspect of no real motivation, no real direction. Just like, oh, I'm pretty and here's my life.
She's like I describe her as a butterfly.
She is.
She just
literally, wherever the wind takes
flits
her.
and floats. Yep.
And it's a beautiful thing to watch sometimes because it's perceived freedom in her. It's perceived freedom for her. And I think this is what bothers me.
So true.
It's perceived freedom because socially and just outside of the home, everybody loves her.
Everybody loves her. Yes.
Everybody loves her. Has great conversations with her. She's just so easygoing and easy to be around. And like you want to be around her.
Yeah.
And there's this perceived like, oh, she's got some sort of freedom. She has no inhibitions. There's nothing holding her back. But there's so much holding her back.
Yeah.
And she just will not address it. And I think that's maybe a tension for me. It's because I grew up in a family where we talked about our feelings and emotions very, very openly.
Yes.
Like my mom, my dad, like we talked about things that were bothering us.
Yes. You are a very emotional family. And I don't mean in like a hysterical way, but in just a very sentimental way.
Right. And we talked about this when we first got married. I ate dinner at your house and you guys were roasting each other the whole time. And I'm like, what kind of family does this, right? Where's the encouragement?
Yeah. Like I come from a family that like, you don't say nice things to each other unless something really bad has happened.
Right.
And
then it's like a precursor to bad news. Right?
Yeah. Right. Right. It's like,
I love you so much, by the way.
Yeah. Like we just didn't talk about our feelings a whole lot. And it was a culture shock because you as an individual and your whole family is very like emotionally validating. You express what you're thinking
sometimes
and feeling.
Overly. Like I would say sometimes to our detriment as well. It's like there are some times where you just don't need to talk about literally everything. You just need to move on and it's okay. There's a balance there and you're teaching me that and I'm teaching you the other side of things.
Right. That's marriage.
So nice. But for her, I think I see just the floating, the perceived freedom, and just knowing at the same time that there is a root and cause to all of the things that you're experiencing in your life, and you will not address it. You won't even touch it with a 10-foot pole. Like you push it out of your mindset. And again, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. This is natural for people to want the depths and to protect themselves.
Yeah, it's her protective mechanism.
To build the walls. Yeah. But we were having a conversation last night and asking her some questions about life. And, she was giving us some answers about some things that are going on. And I was just sitting there the whole time saying like, you don't know. Or you do know, but you're not talking about it.
Yeah. You're being super vague. And I know what you're talking about, but be just a little more detailed so that people understand. Like,
can I talk about the setup, like why we were asking those questions in the first place?
Yeah.
Well, we're trying to. We've noticed that she needs counseling. She needs somebody to be able to walk her through the depths of life. Like, what is she really feeling on the inside? Because she holds so much of it in.
Yeah.
And we've noticed that. And in our home, we've tried to talk about it. We've tried to deal with it with her. But we're just not the people, I don't think, that can get there with her.
I think because we are part of the burden of her life and part of the weight, like she has a lot of internal struggles about us being her parents right now.
I would just say that we are invited into the reaction of it, of like after we see a big blow up and we can address, here's what's really going on. We're invited into those moments where we can address it, but we are not the proactive part of it either. She will not ever come to us and say, no, here's what I'm struggling with.
Right.
But we're trying to get her into an environment where she can have those conversations with somebody.
A therapeutic environment.
And you were asking her the question last night. One of the intake form questions was, why do you think your parents are signing you up for counseling? And she goes, well, maybe I think it's because of my bad grades and because, my bad grades and because of my behavior in school. Now, she's only ever gotten in trouble at school twice in her entire life.
Like she's literally does not have bad behavior.
Yeah. And yes, grades are a thing that we harp on because it's your job to be a student. And we know we just want the best for you. And we want you to set up for yourself, whatever. That's not the reason why we want to put you in counseling.
I know. I had to tell her, I'm like, girl, we're not putting you in counseling to learn geometry. Like those two things don't relate.
If we wanted to deal with your behavior, this is what we said. Our son would have been in therapy a long time ago because his behavior at school is wild. And if we wanted to deal with your grades, we'd hire you a tutor.
Right.
But we're putting you in counseling. There's a depth that you are not willing to touch in your life of just struggle, heartache, letdown, shame, guilt, all of the plethora of things that she experienced in her childhood and then in her life now, which is vastly different.
Yeah.
A whiplash of responsibility and grace and mercy and love and attention. And it's like we realize that you can't deal with these things.
She's a stuffer, right? So she just like stuffs everything down. Yeah. And as soon as something uncomfortable starts coming to the surface, she panics and is like, pooh, nope, and shoves it back down.
The discomfort in her life is playing out in all the different avenues of her life, not just with her emotions.
Right.
It's with her, with life things like getting a job and having uncomfortable conversations and anything that gives her or is perceived discomfort stays away from.
Yes.
And I think it's rooted in something there. So all this to say is I struggle with that because I'm just like, you could be so much more free if you would just talk about these things. You'd be so much more free if you looked at the life that we have now and the way that we've provided and not that we are owed anything in this. Please don't hear me when I say that. But like if you could see the support, literally the support, the place that God has you right now, like the people around you, if you could see that and you could lean into that and you could see that you're safe, you could see that you're supported, you could see that you're loved, you could see that you're valued, you could see all these things in your life, like your life would drastically change. The way that you live your life would be so much different. You wouldn't be so scared. You wouldn't be fearful. You wouldn't be timid. You wouldn't be uncomfortable in these situations. Like, I just want you to deal with the problem.
But why does that bother you so much personally? Because you and I feel very differently about this.
I deal with the problem almost to a fault sometimes. Like I want to fix things, and if I can explain the way that I'm feeling to somebody, like that's what I'm gonna do. And that's like my first step. We get into arguments all the time. Not all the time. We get into arguments sometimes. And I remember the big arguments that we had weren't really big when it came down to it, but I would always want to talk about it immediately. I would dive right in. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what's going on. Here's what's happening in my heart. Here's what's happening in my mind. And for you, it's like, it's what you explained earlier. I'm going to disconnect for a little bit. And then I know that I can't really have a real conversation about an issue until like 48 hours later. Right? But for her, that conversation never happens.
Never, yeah.
And so that is what makes me, that's what gets me on. Like it gets me going.
Right. It all gets back to relationships and attachment here. Because you build strong relationships and attachment through honestly talking about your feelings. And so her continuing to not address the elephant in the room, that is our lack of relationship, like hits a nerve inside of you.
Yes. No, it does.
And I'm wondering, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just like looking from the outside in, because you are such a relational person, a lot of this goes back to fear. And I wonder if you just have a fear of never connecting with her and never having a real relationship with her because she won't like address the issues that are going on.
And I think that, we've had conversations about this on this podcast and even just personally of like, I want to be your dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try not to cry here. I want that relationship. Like I had a great relationship with my father and I want that with you. And maybe sometimes I'm trying to force it. Maybe I just feel this discomfort here in our relationship. And so it's like, I really want that. And I know we're never going to get there unless you're vulnerable with me and you can talk with me about these things.
Right.
And so it pushes me to a point where I'm like, is this ever going to happen? Like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I just want to, like, you have 4 years, 5 years left and 3 years left in our home. So like, let's enjoy it while we have it and we'll figure it out from there.
Right.
But I want you to understand the depth. Maybe this is it. I just want you to understand the depth of my feelings and love for you. And I feel like you're not getting it because you can't reciprocate it. You know? And I guess that is a scary thing for me. So I'm glad we had this therapy session.
I won't charge you because we're married.
Just send me the invoice, please. Oh my
No,
gosh.
all of this has been very specific examples to like our family and our personal fears and triggers.
Yeah.
And people say a lot like kids will push your buttons, but even more than that, like kids will also really push your bruises.
Yeah.
And they will find places that not just upset you, but like they can find places not intentionally. This is very unintentional, but parenting a child with trauma will really shine a light on the places where you as an adult need to heal and do some work. Yeah. And I think that has been, when people ask me, what is the hardest part of foster care? I always say that. The sanctification process, the work that I have to do on me, that is hard.
Or God has to do on you.
That God has to do on me, that's difficult. Yeah. Because man, sometimes I think about a life where we didn't have kids showing us how imperfect we were. And wouldn't that be nice to live in that ignorance? But no longer can we live in ignorance. Right. Like there are bright lights shining on the places where we need to do work and heal as adults so that we can help and support our children. So maybe listeners relate very directly with the examples we've given, but maybe also you don't. Like maybe this is not, you're like, I don't know, I don't really have those like fears or struggles, but it's probably something else. Like there is probably something in your life when you look at a situation and you've blown up and you're feeling heated and hot. It might not just be about the kid slamming the door. Yeah. Like there's probably something deeper there with you also. We talk about the reason behind our kids' behaviors. There is a reason behind our behaviors too. And so just real quickly, I want to talk about like, as we start becoming aware of our own triggers, like what do we do about it? Yeah. Like what do we do? What's our next step?
Well, first of all, good luck. But I do think
God be with you.
You know, if we're talking about the sanctification process, becoming more like Christ, I think first and foremost, you got to be in prayer, asking God to illuminate these things in your life and in your mind, to a place where you can recognize maybe this is a deeper problem with me, or maybe there's a deeper issue that I'm struggling with in this, and really just asking God to give you a vision for that for your life. Yeah. And just saying, listen, I don't like the way that things just unfolded in my home. God, would you show me if there's something going on in my mind and my heart that I need to work on? Yeah. Would you bring to light the things that maybe the fears and the struggles that I've had growing up and have in life, and how they relate to these situations? Like make it obvious to me of where I can do my part to make sure that we're not going back and visiting that place anymore. I think that's the first step, is just asking God to illuminate those things in your life.
Yeah. I have two practical suggestions. Yeah. One, get a therapist.
Okay.
Like get a good therapist. If you feel like you are really struggling because the kids that you're raising are just hitting some deep fears or trigger points in your life, man, work it out with a therapist. I learned wrong with that. Nothing wrong with going to therapy. And there's a lot of resources out there, a lot of scholarships, a lot of therapists that will do discounted work for adoptive and foster parents. So just look into resources if the financial part is a struggle. Yeah. Number two.
Give it to us.
I think one of the most practical things that has helped us in our experiences has been being non-judgmental with each other and being a place where both of us at the end of the day can sit down and just verbalize and process what happened in the day. Yeah. And what is going on. Like we are constantly in communication about what our kids are doing and how it's affecting us emotionally. Yeah. And I think having it, if you aren't married, like find a different person, right? Yeah, find a friend or a family member or someone who can be that confidant for you. If you are married, I don't know if we are like seasoned enough to give marriage advice, but you've got to be a non-judgmental, supportive place for your partner to fall with their struggles and processes.
Yeah. And there is a fine line between dogging on your husband or wife.
Right.
And telling them the truth with grace.
Right.
And I think that's what you got to get to.
Yeah.
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 And so that's really helped for our marriage, just processing through things. And again, if you're single, we always say that it takes a village.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, we're not the only people that we talk to in this process. You mentioned therapy. I don't need a therapist because I have one right here. Just kidding.
Please.
But you have a group of friends that you talk to all the time.
Our parents have been super supportive.
Our parents, yeah. And so finding that support system where you can talk about the truth about what's going on is such an important and key thing in foster care and for your mental health and for your relationship with your foster and adoptive kids. It's all about that.
Yep.
It's all about that. Man, this has been a good episode. Didn't expect to cry today, so there's that. But here we are. Thanks, babe. You're the best. Man, what a great episode, and we can't wait to get to the next one next week. If you like this content, we encourage you to like and subscribe to our stuff. Follow us on social media at Unprofessional Parenting. This has been Matt
and Lainey
with the Unprofessional Parenting Podcast. We will see you next time. Thank you.